I got a full scholarship from the Army that would take me all the way through medical school. And even though I did want to go to medical school, I wanted to study art, I had to declare myself a biology major. So I started off as pretending that I was going to be a biological illustrator and double majoring so the Army would pay for my art education. Because that coupled with me actually trying to do biological illustration, and they had all these frozen frogs that I was supposed to dissect and pin to boards, and it was taking me longer than I expected, so they're all waking up and hopping around, and the person who was there to help me just started taking these frogs and dispatching them as quickly as possible because they were escaping. So I figured I didn't want to slay every frog in the face of the earth, so I quickly dropped that scholarship and just became an art major.
I started first with sculpture, actually, and I made a few different sculptures. It was a hobby of mine. My brother was a welder and auto mechanic. He had a shop. Started making some sculptures, then I started making some furniture. I'd see some things out and about, and I'm like, that's easy enough to make. And it was just, now it's my business for 15 years, and it was just a hobby that got out of hand.
Well, my mom sent me to like art museum classes for a while, and then like in junior high I was having problems with teachers and stuff, and I had to repeat 8th grade, and one of my teachers was like, you know, you're really good at drawing, maybe you should go to the art school downtown. And my mom went along with it, so after that I went to MyAd and, you know, just other art classes randomly.
Slowly I learned how to silkscreen, and made some telephone calls to Frank Kozik, tried to figure out like what he was doing. I would reverse engineer Coop posters to see like how Coop got the colors that he got, because the beauty of a silkscreen is you can see how all the colors lay. You can see, okay, that was where he put down red, and then he got that green by overlapping yellow with the blue, and blah blah blah, you know. And I pretty much taught myself how to silkscreen with, you know, a couple of choice phone calls to good artists. And oh yeah, the Butthole Surfers was actually my very first color silkscreen poster for the Butthole Surfers and the Reverend Horton Heat, and I don't even have any copies of that anymore at all. But that was a poster that I put up on Brady Street, the black and white version, and I worked one side, back when you could actually put posters on poles, worked one side of Brady Street. When I worked the other side of Brady Street, everything was taken down on the other side of the street. And that's like, all right, I know that's a hit. So that's a pretty good indication. And I just never turned back, just kept on doing it.
Obviously, Jim Henson and the Muppets influenced my work, and like watching old Looney Tunes cartoons with my dad and like Marx Brothers movies. I don't know. I never really had art influences until I went to college. It was, or what I thought were art influences. But in reality, everything I saw as a kid was what influenced me, like comic books and cartoons and stuff like that. With stuff I do now, especially like the further along I go with my work, like if I'm doing stuff for kids, I don't dumb it down. I mean, kids are usually smarter than grown-ups anyways. But I try and look at stuff like, would this entertain me, and would it entertain a 3-year-old? And if it would, I think then I'll like put it up on a wall or submit it to someone. But I don't know. I don't want to patronize either of those two audiences.
It's a struggle. You know, it's a struggle. And I think what always makes me most curious is it wouldn't be as much of a struggle if more people really honestly found it to be worthy. The average citizen should buy as many original pieces of artwork as they have bought televisions, you know, in their lives. I mean, think about that. They throw the TVs away, but if people start buying artwork, that artwork hangs on the wall and will always be there. You know, bringing that idea back to American culture, I think, is important for all artists to think about right now. It's sort of like a re-education. But then that, in turn, will then allow artists to more readily be classified as professionals, because then they can afford to continuously make art as a profession, because there are actually more people buying great art.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you do have to be able to sell yourself. It's ridiculous to think that commerce and art are two separate things, or that one, or they don't mix. It never occurred to me. And when we opened the gallery, the first thing we'd hear was, It's about the art, man. Well, you know, you can't pay your bills with a. You can't explain that to your landlord that you didn't sell anything, and you gotta make the money. You gotta hustle. So.
Hooray!